Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Etun Tesham Tasagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodham Evam Bhakti Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dhamma Hetum Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhakti Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dhamma Hetum Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Bhakti Mahashramanaye Swaha. Okay, this morning we were doing the three terms with the Dharma, then the four noble truths, and the 12 repetitions or the recitations. In this kind, so these are all the lay ground for our learning the four seals, the teaching of the four seals. These four lines all compose things impermanent, all contaminated things of subtle nature. Everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcend your soul is absolute peace. So these four are referred to as the four seals. Seals meaning like a stamp. The Buddha's teaching, again, another very important point that we need to know is that the Buddha's teachings are very practical, extremely practical and very realistic. That Buddha himself very clearly stated that what he taught, many of what he taught may change. Will change in time, will change in place, will change in person with which you are talking, place where you are talking, and time in which you are talking. So, on that basis, then even his teachings may have to be modified accordingly. This is what he said very clearly. This is how the realistic and what a vision of the reality that he's seeing. This is something so unique with the Buddha's teachings. And but these four lines, the Buddha said, are the seals. It is as though like the Buddha sealed these four teachings, saying that while there are many teachings the Buddha himself gave which can be altered depending on time, place, and the people. But these four teachings, as long as somebody aspires to seek fearlessness, total freedom from all forms of suffering, then these four teachings are applicable to everyone at every place in all times, at all times. So these four teachings will hold true for everyone. Whether you believe in the Buddha's teachings or not, there's no point. As long as you want fearlessness, as long as you want to achieve the state of liberation from all problems, these four practices must be done. Okay, and this has nothing to do with the dogma. This is just the reality that we have to discover. So what we learned earlier was that somehow all the problems are rooted to ignorance. This is what we learned. All problems are rooted to ignorance. And the ignorance, there are various layers of ignorance. For example, I remember when I was in class 5, class 6, I learned that the planet Earth was moving.
but the sun is static. Sun is static, all the 9 planets are moving around the sun. This was what I learned when I was in class 5 and 6. Which means that earlier I see the planet Earth is static and the sun is moving in the daytime, morning east and evening west. So the sun moves. And the moon also moves, and even the stars move over the span of year. Over the span of the year, even the stars move. But when I was very young, age 5 to 6, I learned that no, the sun is not moving. Your planet Earth is moving. This is what I learned. Then when I was in class 11, 12, then I learned that even the sun is moving. Even the sun, the whole solar system is a part of this big Milky Way galaxy. Part of just a tiny dot in the Milky Way galaxy. Whole solar system is also moving. This is what I learned. So the point is that the ignorance, there are so many layers of ignorance to be unfolded, to be removed. So when the Buddha said all problems are somehow rooted to ignorance. So this ignorance, what kind of ignorance? So the Buddha indicated 3 main layers of ignorance. Buddha indicated 3 main layers of ignorance. The first one, the first seal is what? All composite things impermanent. Ignorance is ignorance viewing or misperceiving. Ignorance misperceiving the impermanent phenomena to be permanent. Number 1. Ignorance misperceiving impermanent phenomena to be permanent. This is the first level of ignorance. Then second level of ignorance misperceiving suffering to be happiness. Ignorance misperceiving suffering to be happiness. Number 2. Okay, that is second seal. All contaminated things are suffering nature. Now the third one. What's the third one? Third seal? Everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. So this we can split into 2. If you split this into 2, then we have 4 layers of ignorance. 4 layers of ignorance. Okay, so number 3 is ignorance misperceiving impure things as attractive. Impure things as pure. Ignorance misperceiving impure things as pure. Then finally, ignorance misperceiving this selfless nature as of selfhood nature. Ignorance misperceiving selfless nature as of selfhood nature, as the nature of selfhood. Okay, these are the 4 layers of ignorance in more detail. Otherwise, 3 layers of ignorance pertaining to some of the sutras. It is just impermanent as permanent, suffering as happiness, and then selfless as selfhood. This is what some of the sutras mention. Whereas other sutras mention with these 3 plus 1 addition, that is, see the impure things as pure. So these 4 misperceptions, so ignorance, they are responsible for creating all the problems. To get into these levels of ignorance, they're all connected to each other. They're all connected to each other. The first level of ignorance, misperceiving impermanent phenomena as permanent. For that, the Buddha taught all composite things are impermanent. All composite things are impermanent. Buddha didn't say everything is impermanent. Buddha just said all composite things are impermanent, which means that within the phenomena that exists, there are composite phenomena as well as non-composite phenomena. Only the composite phenomena the Buddha taught as impermanent, whereas the non-composite phenomena, they are permanent. This is what we need to keep in mind. Only the composite phenomena are impermanent, non-composite phenomena are permanent. So you may be wondering, what is composite phenomena, what is non-composite phenomena? Okay, how many learned about composite, non-composite phenomena? Raise your hands. How many learned about composite, non-composite phenomena? Raise your hands. Okay, good. Okay. More detailed discussions is bound to happen here. So they don't hesitate to ask these questions. Not necessarily here, during the group discussions. And then if you are not really happy with the group discussions, then you can bring this up in the class also after like 2 or 3 days. After 2 or 3 days time. Composite, non-composite. Composite has a connotation of, say, something which is composed of particles, number one, or something which is composed of the temporal parts, something which is composed of the material particles, or something which is composed of temporal parts. What do you mean by temporal parts? Material parts means, for example, this flower is made of atoms. How do you know that? This flower is made of millions of atoms. We all know this, okay? We all know this. So that is the material particles. Whereas there are things which are not made of material particles, but they are made of temporal parts. Temporal parts means parts in time. Parts in time. For example, we speak about a mind. A mind is not material. Mind is not material. The mind does exist. It does exist. It has a substance. The mind has a substance. Substance which is made of temporal parts, not material parts, but it's made of temporal parts. What do you mean by temporal parts? The mind, for example, let's say, I am very happy today. When you say I'm very happy today, this today is made of 24 hours. So the first hour mind, second hour mind, third hour mind. So we see that our mind is split, can be divided into 24 seconds. And the first hour mind, also it is made of temporal segments. It's made of segments in time. First hour mind is made of, again, first minute mind, 60 minutes mind. First minute mind, second minute mind, third minute mind, and so forth. So this is how we see that the mind is made of temporal parts, meaning parts in time. Whereas the physical bodies are made of physical parts as well as temporal parts. Now we speak about self, I. Say I, Dorji, I'm also composite phenomena. I'm composite of my body and my mind. I'm composed of, say, the bodily physical parts as well as mental parts. So anything which is made of physical parts or mental parts, that is known as a composite phenomenon. Something which is composed of these smaller parts. Physical material parts or the temporal parts. Anything which is composite should necessarily be impermanent in nature. For example, nowadays with physics is very clear that anything which is made of particles, the atoms which we see, if you look at the walls here, we see the wall is very steady. But if you look on the elementary, on the level of the particles, or on the level of the atoms, we see that this is not at all static, it's constantly moving like this. It's in like a vibration. So these are constantly in movement. Likewise, our mind, which are made composed of temporal parts, they're undergoing change. So anything which is made of parts is known as composite phenomena, and they are impermanent. Whereas non-composite phenomena, they are permanent, they are not impermanent. So many people, they have very naive understanding, oh, Buddha taught that everything is impermanent. That's not true. When they say the Buddha taught that everything is impermanent, which means that they understand that Buddhism is very naive. It's not at all the proper understanding. Okay, one time, I was in a conference. It was a quite very interesting yet intensive conference. A physicist was asking questions, and the Buddhist scholars, no, the scholars from the various religious traditions, Buddhism, Vedantic tradition, Jainism, and Shaivism. I think these four were there. And the physicist was asking a question. And the Vedantic scholar, and who is also from Ramakrishna Mission, one scholar, a very respected scholar, and I could sense that so when the physics is purely empirical in nature. There is no room for blind faith. There is no room for something abstract phenomenon. It's purely empirical, and Buddhism talks a lot about empiricism. It's all about empirical realities. And then the other scholar, he thought that now the Buddhist scholar will speak a lot, and the audience will be drawn towards Buddhism. So he was a little scared. So he was trying to make Buddhism really small. Oh yeah, in Buddhism it talks about everything is impermanent. So this is a naivety there, and even many of the Buddhists, they also think that the Buddha taught everything is impermanent. That's not true. Things that exist in the universe should be classified into two: composite phenomena, non-composite phenomena. Only the composite phenomena are permanent, no, impermanent. And non-composite phenomena, they are permanent. This is what we have to know. One. Then the next part is all composite things are impermanent. Impermanent. What does it mean by impermanent? Impermanent, there are two kinds: gross impermanence, and the subtle impermanence. Two, gross and subtle. The gross impermanent, impermanence on the meditation, reflection and meditation on impermanence is what the Buddha considered as so important. Buddha in fact gave the metaphor that of all the footprints, the footprint of the elephant is the supreme, which means it's the biggest, it's the supreme. Of all the meditations, the meditation on impermanence is supreme. This is what the Buddha said. Okay, let me say this again. But the Buddha taught of all the footprints, the footprint of the elephant is the supreme. Of all the meditations, the meditation on impermanence is supreme. Okay. My question to you is that thus far what we learned was that final ajam, meditation, all these things, final ajam, the purpose for all these things like meditation and so forth, it is eventually for what? What's the final purpose? Achieve the ultimate happiness, achieve the fearlessness, achieve infinite happiness. That is what for the meditations they are designed. Now the question is, so the meditations, if that is to bring us the ultimate happiness, meditation should have the capacity to get rid of the root of the problem. What's the root of all the problems? Self-grasping ignorance. So, if you want to get into the self-grasping ignorance, then what should be introduced? What kind of meditation is required? What kind of meditation is required to get into the self-grasping ignorance?
La sagesse, on doit méditer la sagesse de la nature.
Meditation emptiness, meditation oneself, meditation life of the wisdom. Anybody else? Okay, they all come to the same point. Meditation to bring the life of the wisdom to know emptiness. to bring the light of the wisdom to cognize emptiness. This is required. Now the question to you, the dilemma that I have is the Buddha said that, okay, tell me, of all the meditations, which is the supreme? Wisdom of emptiness. No, wisdom of emptiness not. Oh, the meditation, immerse the supreme. Not the wisdom of emptiness. Kind of same or same? Okay, which is more important, wisdom of emptiness or the wisdom of emptiness or wisdom of impermanence? Which is more important? Which meditation is more important?
L'impermanence, l'impermanence, est suprême.
L'impermanence me paraît plus essentielle parce qu'elle concerne à la fois les composés d'espace et de temps.
The meditation of impermanence seems to be more essential because it's relevant with impermanent things in space and time.
Okay, let me give you another clue. Okay, let us not forget these facts. One fact is that to eradicate the self-grasping, without eradicating self-grasping ignorance, fearlessness cannot be achieved. Fear cannot be eradicated for good. One. Number two, but the Buddha taught that of all the wisdoms, of all the meditations, the meditation on impermanence is supreme. This is what the Buddha taught. Number two. Number three, Buddha also indicated that of all the meditations, of all the practices, the Buddha classified these practices into two groups. One, the liberating path, and the other, the ripening path. Liberating path and the ripening path. For example, let's say, okay, we're looking for food. Then the Venerable Tudens Wasala is looking for the containers. And then the Thomas is looking for the stones, the three stones, where we are going to put the fire on. 3 stones. And Mr. Patrick, Dr. Patrick is looking for what? The utensils. Utensils you're looking for. Right? Okay. And then Virginia is looking for the ingredients of the food. Right? Okay, which is most important? All are important. But to remove the hunger, what will actually remove the hunger? The utensil will remove the hunger, or the fire will remove the hunger, or the stones will remove the hunger, or the ingredients of the food will remove the hunger? Ingredients. While everything is important, but the ingredients will remove the hunger. What will actually liberate us is the one which cuts the self-grasping ignorance. One which cuts the self-grasping ignorance is only the wisdom of emptiness. So the wisdom of emptiness is referred to as the liberating path. Wisdom of emptiness alone is the liberating path. Then what about if the finally ingredients, food ingredients, they are the most important to remove hunger, then why the utensils are required, why the stones are required, why the fire is required, why? Because these are the means to cook these ingredients into a food. Likewise, all other meditations are to ripen the individual to practice the liberating path. So we have the liberating path and the ripening path. All other meditations, all other practices are the ripening paths, meaning they will help us ripen. They will help us ripen, mature to practice the wisdom of emptiness. So all other meditations fall under the category of ripening paths, whereas only the wisdom of emptiness falls under the category of the liberating paths. Okay, this is another fact. Now with these different facts in your hands, tell me, which is the most important meditation? Meditation impermanence or the meditation on emptiness? Don't worry. So, okay, if I say meditation in the emptiness, then it contradicts the Buddha. Buddha already gave us the liberty. Buddha already gave us the liberty, right? Okay, Buddha already gave us the liberty. What the Buddha said. Okay, when I was in 2004, when I was in England, when I was in Cambridge, I met the Israeli scientist. He's very bright, exceptionally bright, and he's so bright. Then, in fact, people find it so difficult to talk to him. Because the moment you say something, he will say that you have internal contradiction. The moment you say one to three sentences, you say there's internal contradiction here. Right? It's so difficult for the people to talk to him. Literally, I could see that nobody wants to talk to him. He's so bright. So, at one point, he said that, okay, by the way, how many of you are from physics background? Raise your hands. He's a physicist. Physics background? Nobody. Okay. All? Yes? All from physics background? Okay. Only one. So what he said was that in this world, only physics is education. Which means that except for all, none of us has into education. He said that in this world, only physics is education. And I said, why? He said, because only physics allows you to have a critical thinking. All others are imitation of the earlier teachers. This is what he said. Then I said, okay, if there's a reason, then listen to what the Buddha has to say. Then I quoted the Buddha. The Buddha said, the bhikshus and the wise men and women, just as a goldsmith tests the purity of the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning the gold, you should also examine my words and put them to practice, not simply because you respect me. Then the physicist here had been silent for a few seconds and said, oh, the Buddha must have been a great physicist. Okay, so this is what I'm saying, is that the Buddha has given us liberty. We should not be too rigid. Oh, the Buddha said it, so therefore it should be. But when the Buddha said it, there must be a reason. Right? Okay, so tell me, which is more important meditation? Meditation on the meditation impermanence or meditation on emptiness?
S'il faut partir de là où nous en sommes, il faut méditer sur l'impermanence pour pouvoir couper la racine de la saisie du soi et aller à la vacuité, à la méditation sur la vacuité.
If we have to depart from where we are, we have to first meditate on impermanence, then in order eventually to meditate on emptiness.
So eventually meditation emptiness is more important.
Yes.
But the Buddha said, but Buddha didn't say eventually, beginning. Buddha said that of all the footprints of the elephant is the supreme. Of all the meditation impermanence is the supreme. Anybody? Prashila?
Impermanence.
Impermanent, why?
Because the reflection of impermanence, that helps you to gradually practice the wisdom of emptiness.
How?
Because the thinking impermanence, then this will help you notice undermine attachment.
Or even the visual emptiness will also undermine the attachment?
The wisdom of emptiness will uproot the ignorance.
Okay. Wisdom not only will undermine the attachment, it's also uproot the ignorance. Impermanence cannot uproot the ignorance.
No, undermine, just undermine.
Yeah.
So
Okay, anybody else? Anybody? Laura.
We already know that the Buddha gave different terms of the real Dharma for different people of different capacities. So I know that he's taught some things to some people and other things to other people based on their current capacity.
Okay, this one is for the not who are competent with emptiness.
Yes.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay, this is another thing. Okay, so later on, if competition is there, we have to invite Laura. Okay, the bus.
Sorry?
Bus.
You want me to say something?
Yes, you raise hand.
Did I?
I thought.
Well, it's the first of the 4 seals. So if you want to start walking, you better take big footsteps. But
Okay.
later you
So
might.
Buddha taught this not in relation to the 4 seals. So I was linking the two, right? Okay.
From the thing that I would say empty.
Okay. Just see, one approach that we need to take is particularly somebody like Buddha who is so confident, who says that examine my words, don't put them into practice simply because you respect me. When such a person says something, right, don't take it too literally. Because he's so intelligent, when he says something, there's a reason behind it. So, in the monastic universities, this is the beauty and the strength of the debates in the monastic universities. In the monastic universities, I cannot say anything I like. Say, if you are asking questions to me, you are the one you pose questions to me, and I'm the one who's defending the position. My job is to defend for example, the text. I should not say that, this text, what he said is wrong. No. The moment I say that this is wrong, it's so easy to say this text is wrong. When I say this text is wrong, I will never grow. I will never think. When I defend what is said in the text, and of course the text that we are defending must be very standard. But the text is very standard, which withstood such analysis for like 600 years, 700 years. So there, if you defend it, you will, when you say, yes, what is said there is correct, then the person will ask how it is correct. Then you have to think. When you think, your intelligence grows. And particularly, you will find many nuances. To say no is very easy, is wrong is very easy. You will never see the nuances. And particularly, when you see the people who are very sharp in their intelligence, right? Intelligence, you just get a glimpse of the sharpness of intelligence, you will just see the wonder, right? This all because of this training. Training how to defend the positions which are very authentic. Don't just say it's wrong. You're getting it? Particularly when it is said by somebody like a Buddha who gave the liberty to us, who is so confident. Unless you are very confident, he cannot give you the liberty. He is very confident. So because when he's confident, when he said is with example, not just in the statement, with example of all the footprints, the footprint of the elephant is supreme. Of all the meditations, the meditation impermanence is supreme. When he said this, there's a reason. So instead of saying, no, it is not, I deviate from this, I say this, right? This is between the classmates. Right? Between the classmates, you can say, I deviate from you. But when it comes to such a brilliant thinker, don't easily say that. Just think more. Think more, you get answer. And these answers, they are very striking. This is how we grow. Okay, Maria.
Oui. Le Bouddha, au début, il a enseigné les 4 nobles vérités. Et donc, quand on revient sur sa phrase de l'impermanence est suprême, et donc quand on commence à méditer sur l'impermanence, on commence aussi à voir qu'on attaque à la souffrance qui est liée à l'impermanence. C'est pour ça que le Bouddha a peut-être dit ça.
So maybe it's linked with the teaching of Four Noble Truth, because in Four Noble Truth the Buddha also taught about impermanence, so maybe impermanence and suffering are linked, are connected.
They are linked, but the question is why the Buddha said, in other words, why the Buddha said that the meditation on impermanence is the supreme. Okay, the Tudagunyala.
So although the meditation on the wisdom realizing emptiness is the direct cause for getting rid of the obscurations and the suffering, if one doesn't realize impermanence, one will never see the urgency and will never have the courage, the motivation to meditate on wisdom realizing emptiness.
Okay. Okay, did you follow what Tudagunyala said? Did you follow what Tudagunyala said? What he said is that with the realization of emptiness, if you don't realize impermanence, then the sense of urgency will not come. So, with the impermanence, sense of urgency will come, and then it will make you to move. You understand it? Okay, so let's say, I'll give you a choice. Say one, there's very good ingredients for the cheesecake. Very good, all the best ingredients of the cheesecake, but the person is very lazy. Ingredients is not cheesecake, right? Ingredients. On the other hand, the ingredients are there, plus the urgency. Oh, I have to make this cheesecake so that I can feed my children with this cheesecake. I'll give it to my friends. Oh, they will like it. This sense of urgency is there. So, two options are there. Which option will you choose? The first or second? The first one. The first one, cheesecake will never come out. Finally, the job is not the ingredient, it's the cheesecake should come out. Cheesecake can come out when? In the first case or in the second case? Only in the second case. Why in the second case the cheesecake is coming out? Because of seeing the need, seeing the sense of urgency. You're getting it? So just to have the wisdom of emptiness, if the sense of urgency is not there, this wisdom of emptiness will not at all work to get rid of the self-grasping ignorance. Okay, let's say, I'll give you one example. Say, if I from this, suddenly I see a snake somewhere where we put our footwears, a snake there. Then I ask, Jerome, would you mind removing the snake there? Jerome, would you mind removing the snake there? Right? Okay. Now, if the snake is here next to me, will I say, Jerome, would you mind removing the snake? Will I say this? Huh? Tell me, hey. If the snake is next to me, will I say, Jerome? Will I say this? I will not say this. What will I do? I'll jump. Right? Why? When I see far away, I say, Jerome, would you mind removing the snake there? Why? Nearby, I don't even have time to say Jerome. I jump. Why? Why in the first case I did not jump? Why in the second case I jumped? Why? Because of the sense of urgency. You getting it? Sense of urgency will make things happen. Finally, what do we want? We want the fearless. We want to achieve fearlessness after many lifetimes, or we want to achieve the fearlessness right now. Right now. You want right now, we need the sense of urgency. This sense of urgency is given to us by the meditation on impermanence. This is why the Buddha said that finally we should make things happen. What makes things happen is the meditation on impermanence. This is so precious. It's for this reason that the first teaching the Buddha gave was on impermanence, and the last teaching the Buddha gave was also on impermanence. Last teaching the Buddha gave. The last teaching before the Buddha passed away, again the Buddha taught impermanence and then passed away. Okay, so the impermanence, this is so important. And for us also, that will be very good. If you can think about the one best would be if you can take out, say every day you think about impermanence a little bit. And then, for example, from tomorrow, we're going to do the meditation on the 4 seals tomorrow morning. For the morning practice, we'll do the meditation 4 seals. So then we will see how to meditate on impermanence. You think about this? Then on a daily basis, if you can meditate on impermanence, that will be extremely helpful. Extremely helpful. And particularly, what I would say is that in the West, generally, I'm not overgeneralizing, but generally speaking, the culture of the West is not really related to think about impermanence. It was back in 2004 when I was in Cambridge. I met one couple, and the husband was Britisher, and amazingly kind, the couple. And they say once in a while they invite me for lunch on Sundays. I go there, meet them. And the husband, one time he told me, "Oh, Dorji, tell me something about Buddhism." Because he feels me as his friend, not because he wants to become Buddhist, but just to know what Buddhism is. So I was sharing about it. And then I was totally inexperienced in teaching the Buddha's teaching. Directly about the way I learned, I shared with him impermanence, suffering. Then in 5 minutes time he said, "Dorji, stop. I'll tell you one thing. In future, look, this is what he advised me. Dorji, I was just somebody who is the fresher who come out in the world and who directly taught impermanence and suffering." He said, "Dorji, in future, wherever you go in the West, never talk about suffering, never talk about impermanence." He said. Okay. Why? He said, believe it or not, if Cambridge, the highway, if there's accidents happen. If there's accident, somebody had injury or death happens, within 5 minutes, somebody comes out 5 minutes, you will not feel that there was an injury, accident happened there. Even the blood stains will be removed. Because everybody's scared of seeing the blood. Everybody's scared of seeing the injury, the accidents and so forth. Everybody's scared of that. Nobody wants to think about this. And you are deliberately talking about suffering. Right? So never do that in the future. That's what he said. And later on I realized that's very true. That's really true. So therefore, they think it's not that say one culture is better, other culture is worse. No. It's a matter of how the culture, how the societal, the culture, it develops. It can develop in a very different form. Okay, so the point is that the reflection on suffering, say the suffering and particularly impermanence. So that what happens is that, and then he said one thing, that you also do have, in England, we do have the hospices. Hospices, people, the place where the people breathe their last. These places are there. But these are all kept away from the sight of the other people. He said. It's very true. Now with this, again same thing. That when we are young, okay, maybe here who's, okay, friend, how old are you?
34.
Huh?
34.
34. Jane? 32. Bus?
38.
Huh?
38.
38. Okay, let's say. Thomas?
22.
Huh?
22.
22. Okay. So let's say the Thomas 22. Anybody else less than 22? Huh? Okay, let's say 22. So when we are 22, very young. In 30s, also young. very young, right? 40 is also young. When I was 12, I discovered the age of one of my schoolmates. His age was 17. I discovered his age. Very old. 17 years old, so old. Then I became 17. And I was still very young. Then I discovered the age of one of the school teachers. He was, I think, 33. Very old. Again, very old. Now he went through the same pattern that I'm going now. And then he became like this. One day I'll also become like him. I'll also become very old. It's very scary to think of that. I feel so demoralized. No, one day I'll become one like him, very old. Then gradually I became the 30. Right? 30. And people are saying, you're Geshe, you're just 30, you're so young. And when I was 30, I was young. When somebody else is 30, very old. Then in my 30s. Then when I was first in England, there was a host. One of the hosts, professor, he just few days before I came to England, he just celebrated his 50th birthday. And I discovered that. What is there to celebrate? Half century gone. Half century gone. What is there? This is really like a, what do you call it? What's the English word? It's actually nothing to celebrate. It's like telling you that he's now close to death. What is this? But I did not say anything. Okay, nice. Then upon my return, then they say, then once I was in Varanasi, the school vice chancellor, he invited me for a program, and then he invited me for dinner. And he also invited another very senior professor, lady professor. And then he must have introduced me to the lady professor before I joined them. And the lady professor, he came to Tibet House before I joined Tibet House. I was in my 40s. Then I showed up, and the vice chancellor told the lady professor that this is the director of Tibet House. Lady professor looked at me like this, and she said, "Young director." Now look, I was only in my 40s. I was young. Young director. Okay. So now I'm in my 50s. And last year, I was in my host family in Mumbai, and the father of the family, he said, "Okay, now I'm becoming old." I said, "How old are you?" He said, 65. 65 and nothing. And he said, "How old are you?" I said, 50, you're a baby. Okay, so if I'm baby, then Thomas. Okay, so what I'm saying is that the impermanence. With impermanence, the point is that when we don't reflect on impermanence, okay, what my friend in England said, that's true to some extent, but in the long run is very, very unhealthy. Not to reflect on impermanence is very unhealthy for everybody. Why? When you don't reflect on impermanence, that's okay, a little unease is coming, but nobody can evade the actual impermanence of the separation of near and dear ones. This is what is bound to happen to everybody. When that happens, you're not at all prepared. So you will have a shock. So you try to avoid the earlier pains, and then in the end you cannot avoid the shock. You can go crazy. Many people, they go through such a trauma and the pain, acute pain, because they are not prepared. So therefore, it is not at all wise not to reflect on impermanence, not to reflect on suffering from the beginning. You have to acknowledge the reality, but take it in the form of a dose. Don't overdo it. Even meditation impermanence, don't overdo it. If you overdo it, it can be very, very scary. Why I'm saying this was that I think the first year I entered into the monastery, I was like 20. I was 20. The first year, I sat for like 2 months retreat, just on impermanence and suffering. And somehow the factors, the conditions are very favorable. Favorable not in the sense that it's nice. It's very unfavorable, that it becomes favorable. Unfavorable meaning that the weather was so cold, no facilities, and the snow outside, and for to go to loo, you have to go out in the acutely the cold, the weather, cold temperature, and the house inside is so moist. So with all these things, meditation impermanence and meditation suffering, it was extremely effective. But don't choose to do such meditation in such a place. Because it was successful with me, don't think that it was successful for you. It can destroy your health. Very dangerous. In my case, there was no choice. And luckily, it can be very successful. So within like 1 week's time, so just because of meditation impermanence is very scary. Very scary. Even the walls, which now you look at the walls, do you see the walls vibrating? Or you see the walls as very static? How do you see this wall? Very static. No. When I was meditating, with all these factors intact, then at one point slowly, literally, even the walls, everything seemed to be like vibrating like this. This is what somebody can experience if you're meditating impermanent. Very scary. So therefore, what I'm saying, warning is, don't overdo. Don't overdo. Okay. You must do that in a form of dose. Just take a dose of that. Next day, be patient and take a dose, and then you'll succeed. Okay. But the point is that we have to take the dose. Without taking the dose at all, then we are not preparing ourselves. Without preparing ourselves, later on when the impermanence actually strikes us, it is very, very, very shocking. Excruciatingly painful. Okay. But this impermanence is of two kinds. The gross impermanence and subtle impermanence. Gross impermanence. Impermanence where the continuum of the object ceases. Impermanence where the continuum of the object ceases. This is the gross impermanence. For example, 2018. 2018, the continuum of 2018 lasted for 1 year. Now it ceased. It all stopped. 2018 will never come back again. Gone. The continuum of 2018 is gone. That is the gross impermanence. For example, my two parents, they existed. My father existed for about like 80 years. My mother existed for about like 40 years. Now they're gone. Continuum of my mother, continuum of my father, gone. And the very celebratory or the jubilant, the festivities that we engaged in our life. Everybody is so jubilant. Everybody with such a merriment and joy and so forth. Now they're gone. That particular merriment will never come back again. This is reality. So, likewise, same people enjoy watching the sunset. The sunset is so beautiful. It's just a matter of few minutes. it disappears. That particular sunset will never return. Likewise, we think about, when we hear about somebody becoming sick, or somebody is now suffering from cancer, or somebody died, something like this. Okay, we feel sorry, but we are in the queue. It's a matter of time that I can be the next person. We never know. Suddenly something happens, and taken to the hospital, and the doctor diagnosed that I'm suffering from this or that, cancer or this or that, and so forth. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. This is reality. This is reality. So whereas how we, most of the people, oh yeah, the poor person, now they're going through difficulty, maybe I am the next person. We don't think like this. But the reality is very different. So we should be able to see the reality. See the reality, then we see that it is not them. Okay, them is a matter of time. It's happen today or will happen tomorrow. It's a matter of time. It's just the same. There's no difference. By no means I'm an exception. This is what we have to realize. If you realize this, then the genuine renunciation will come. Otherwise, say when you're in a family where the family is very complicated, where there's so much unnecessary complications are there, with these complications, then you just have so much of the sickness, fights, and then the abuse happening. You just feel, oh, now I'm fed up with samsara, or some fed samsara. I like to just run away somewhere. This is not the genuine renunciation. Genuine renunciation is no matter what situation that you are in, very luxurious place, everybody is so cordial, gentle, calm, you should be able to see the impermanence wherever you go. Wherever I go is the same. It's just a matter of time. Be it in a very abusive, quarreling family, or in a very harmonious, cozy family. Impermanence strikes everywhere. This is reality. Only if we are aware of that, then wanting to leave samsara, right? Leave samsara, that becomes a genuine renunciation. This is so important. With this way of thinking is the wise people's thinking. Anybody who can think like this is the wise. Wise means somebody who can think further away in time, further away in space. That person is considered as wise. Those people who see only today, who see only your place, a very narrow place, very small place, space, and just today, just for 1 week. These people are known as unwise people or ordinary people who can see a bigger reality, bigger picture of the reality in time, in space. They are known as the wise people. So, so the point is that we should be able to think from a distance before the impermanence actually strike us. Think from a distance. Look at the two situations. One where, how we live life. I don't want to think about impermanence. I don't want to think about suffering. Okay, this situation. And a situation, yes, I do think about impermanence, suffering, and so forth. Two. Of the two, say after 10 years, after 20 years, impermanence is bound to strike us anytime. Whether you're or with one of your relatives, very close ones, this is what is bound to happen to us. When that happens, which of the two situations you can bear without any problem? Which of the two situations you will be in the state of shock? Right? Which do you want? You want the shock or you want without the shock? Of course we want without shock. Those people who can think about these and then accordingly choose what will not give us shock eventually, that's a wise person. What just forgets everything, tend to just ignore everything, and then actually when the impermanence actually strikes, and then you are shocked, it's too late, it's so unwise. Okay, if you think more seriously, For example, like say today, so you come here for a retreat, Bodhicittas retreat, okay. At the same time, while you are in this place, thinking about Buddha's teaching, compassion, wisdom, and so forth, at the same time, there are pubs. There are pubs, people are into indulgence. Nightclubs, people into indulgence. All these things are there. They don't think about all these realities. What is happening here? What is happening in those areas? Indulgence, so forth. This is exactly what is happening 200 years ago as well. 200 years ago. Whether you are into indulgence, not indulgence, or 200 years ago, these people, not even a single person is alive today. No exception for the kings, queens, presidents, prime ministers, rich, poor, educated, uneducated, no exception. Everyone is gone. Do you agree with me? Not even a single person is left. 150 years from today, in the future, 7 billion human beings today, not even a single person will be left that day. Guaranteed. Do you agree with me? So we have so much plans. The parents. In the West, it's fine. In the West, the parents don't really have so much plans for the children. Because the parents, they give education to the children and give them good direction. And finally, children, they decide for their own future. Generally speaking, in the West. Whereas in Asia, mostly in Asia, parents so much a plan. I want my child to become doctor. I want my child to become this, that, and so much complications there. Right? So now, the same thing, parents have so much expectation from the children. What's happened today happened 200 years ago in the past. Whether plans are accomplished, not accomplished, expectations met, not met, although the expectations, everyone is gone. Today, everyone's gone. And 200 years later, what is happening today? Oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to start this business, that business. To start a business, this is not a problem. The problem is, along with the survival, to think of the long future. To think of the future. Together, making these two go hand in hand. That is wise. Not thinking about the future, just think about today. That's a problem. In 120, 50 years from now, whether your aspirations are fulfilled or not fulfilled, everybody's going to disappear. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Everybody's going to disappear. And sometimes it's very demoralizing. Say, oh, in one place there is the corpse discovered. The dead body discovered, which was 1,000 years old. And people around that place had no clue what kind of the person, what kind of the place, what kind of the culture. No clue. Although the whole village disappeared. Disappeared within like 500 years. Within like 1,000. For example, Malaysia, for Indonesia, Indonesia, I was there and I was expecting that, okay, the Bodhicitta retreat that we are doing, Bodhicitta, what we inherited was all inherited from, for example, like our teachers like His Holiness and so forth. They inherited these teachings from, finally from Lama Geshe Damdul. And Lama Geshe Damdul, he inherited these teachings from Lama Selimba. And Lama Selimba was from Sumatra, from Indonesia. And then last 2 years ago, we had the same Bodhicitta retreat in the place where Lama Selimba actually resided. In Jambi is one of the places where he resided, in the monastery. We went there. Going there, I was expecting that there would be lots of these information that we get about Lama Selimba. I went there, and then the actual spot was like a small museum. And there was museum staff there, very young Muslim boys and girls. And these Muslim boys and girls, they are very gentle, very kind, very gentle, very kind. And I asked them, What is this place known as? No historical facts left. All disappeared. All disappeared. No historical facts. They have no clue what really happened here. Right? And because that Additionnaly Shirikana was so popular, what they talk about is, oh, Additionnaly Shirikana came here. And what Lama Selimba, they even don't know about Lama Selimba. Lama Selimba was the main figure in this place. So Lama Additionnaly Shirikana came as a student, his student. So because Lama, that becomes a tourist spot, tourist people talk about the Additionnaly visited this place, so they learn about this. But this is for what? They have no clue. In other words, what I'm saying, what happened in 11th century AD disappeared now from Indonesia. 11th century AD Indonesia, that place must be vibrant with all these Bodhicitta practices. The living teacher of the Bodhicitta, Lama Selimba, was alive then there. He was giving these teachings there. 11th century, it's about 1,000 years ago. Now, not even a trace is left. This is impermanent, this is reality. So therefore, if you think like this, then, okay, wherever we go, whether I'm in a 5-star hotel, whether I'm in a very beautiful environment, or whether I'm in the less facility place, it's just the same. Wherever you go, this is impermanent. Impermanence will strike us. With this knowledge, then wanting to really get out of this problem. Say, with this impermanence, what is next? All composite things are impermanent. What is next? All contaminated things are suffering nature. With this impermanence, wherever I am, suffering is bound to be there. No escape. Okay, when you meet a new person, usually we meet new person in a nice dress. A nice dress means we are hiding our reality. Nice dress and makeup, whatever, we are hiding the reality. Then we sit with the person, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then the problems inside will come out. Everywhere, you meet with the president, you meet with the prime minister, you meet with kings, queens, same problem wherever you go. If the family members, they are so cordial, so friendly, so harmonious, so loving, there's a problem. When the separation is there, the pain is so acute. When the family members, they are not cordial, right? The morning you wake up, irritation is there, right? Either you have irritation or you have acute pain at the separation. It's so painful. Now the question is there a way out? Is there a way out that I don't really have to go through these pains? Of course there's a way out. Okay, so for this matter, all composite things are impermanent. So it's so important when the Buddha said that of all the meditations, meditation impermanence is the supreme. So this meditation impermanence consists of two meditations. Meditation on the gross impermanence and the subtle impermanence. Okay, gross impermanence is an impermanence where the continuum of the object ceases. Subtle impermanence is the momentariness of the composite phenomena. Momentariness of the composite phenomena. For example, let's say this beautiful flower, orchid flower in front of me, this beautiful orchid flower in front of me, this flower has both impermanence, gross impermanence as well as subtle impermanence. The fact that this orchid may last for another 15 or 20 days, or at the most of 1 month, and then will disappear. Continuum will stop. From that point of view, this has the gross impermanence. And while it is lasting, momentarily it is changing. Momentarily it is changing. So the momentariness, momentarily it is changing, that is the subtle impermanence. Okay, now the subtle impermanence. To think about subtle impermanence, this is so important. To think about gross impermanence is very important. And then, to think about subtle impermanence will give you a profound assurance that unless and until I do something to get out of samsara, there's no freedom. It's total lack of freedom. There's no freedom at all. It's only miseries. This is what we're going to realize. So for that matter, we have to reflect on the subtle impermanence. Okay, we'll stop here. Yata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvatyata